George Strait. She let herself.
Newcastle, Oklahoma City.
There's your secret password to hear all this great music on Jake.
just want to note that I will follow up with Mr. Williams on that and see when exactly the shower schedule can be restored to what the basic requirement is for that. In addition, on Monday I asked about the internet hotspots for our medical team, being that they have previously complained about not having internet on certain floors. Mr. Williams tells me that they have resolved that issue by changing their approach, and so there shouldn't be any need for them to have computer access on every floor. After that, I asked about Orkin and whether or not we should continue to contract with them if their services are not effectively meeting our needs concerning bed bugs. Mr. Williams says that he will soon meet with Orkin to reevaluate their services, which is highly suggested on my behalf. But also, Mr. Williams mentioned that the bed bugs are being treated by jail personnel. So I just want to know how effective is this solution that we've come up with to treat bed bugs on our own, and whether we need to reevaluate that, because I hear of bed bug complaints every single day.
I apologize, Mr. Webster. I couldn't really understand your question. Chair, could you understand what she was saying? My speaker must be breaking up a little bit. I could catch a lot of what she was talking about, but I missed a lot of the content.
Yeah, there was a lot of extra noise going on, but I was saying that you said you have your own solution for the bed bugs, and I want to know how effective is your solution, and do we need to reevaluate it, being that I hear of bed bug complaints every single day.
Yeah, and again, we have a lot of different things that we're looking at right now, and again, we think some of the mattresses still need to be replaced. And we have got over 2,000 mattresses since July, but we will continue to go through those mattresses and make sure that there are no cracks or crevices for the bed bugs to hide in. We evaluate the way we transporting clothes, and again, we're looking at that. We also use supportable beds in cases of triple selling, and they're called boats. And I have looked at those over the last couple of weeks, and we have found several of those that are cracked or broken. So we're in the process right now of identifying those that are cracked and broken and getting those out of the facility. So again, we don't have a stagnant approach on the bed bugs. As we become aware of issues or if we identify things that can be improved, we're going to continue to do that. So we are all hands on deck fighting the bed bugs. So we will never be content with one solution or one treatment process. I talked to maintenance earlier in the week even about setting up a heating system because we do know that extreme heat is an effective way to at least kill bed bugs at every stage of their development. So we are looking at developing some sort of a heating system that we can put mattresses in, clothes in, property in, anything that we think might be harboring bed bugs or bed bug larvae to exterminate those. So again, we will continually evaluate the techniques and the methods that we're using to fight bed bugs. We are absolutely not content with our current situation.
Okay, so is this something that you would consider speaking to Orkin about? Because you
yes,
said you have your...
talked to Orkin several different times. Their approach is a dry chemical. So we do have that chemical, and we do use that chemical as well as our Orkin uses that same chemical. But again, I'm just not concluded with that. Not totally convinced that killing the live bed bugs on contact is really all that we can do. I think there's some other things that we can do that we need to pursue as well as the chemical parts.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you all. Other questions?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Berry.
I just wanted to make sure I could be heard. I was having problems with my computer. I'm here now.
Mr. Berry, will be happy just to go back to item number 1 for approval of minutes. What is your vote?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Back to item number 2. Hearing no other questions or comments, Cassie, if there's members of the public, would you please call them in order? And upon completion of the public comment, I would ask to call the vote. Absent other discussion.
Yes. Sarah Vena.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a little bit unfortunate that given the state of crisis we're in, you guys can't even manage to abide by the law and conduct your meetings in a timely and expedited fashion, where we had to reschedule this meeting because you were in violation of the Open Meetings Act. We have spent millions of dollars funding your privately hired and contracted attorneys, whose duties and jobs are to prevent such negligence and delay from conducting government business. I've also looked at the invoices that you guys have put together, nearly $4 million, which half of are CARES Act money that are being just literally exploited and wasted through this jail trust. I want to know who is doing from your staff a verification effort of how much fraud is probably commingled into this analysis. And Sheriff Taylor, you're looking at me like I'm an idiot. I'm not. You yourself, the head of an agency, just reported millions of dollars worth of assets and equipment missing. So the fraud and the corruption that has been historic and notorious in this county has not ceased. But as a matter of fact, we now have 9 individuals who are just wasting tax dollars as if taxpayers of Oklahoma County are not living. Have you looked at the statistics of how many Oklahoma County residents are living below or at the poverty level? Do you think we can afford continuing to fund this trust, its attorneys, its staff, when you guys are still incompetent in equipping basic human rights, basic human needs for the detainees that have been trapped and being held as hostages inside that county jail? My question is, why is it that none of your paid unethical attorneys have yet taken the duty, given what they know about the conditions of that county jail, to draft a letter to the Department of Justice themselves? Don't they have a reporting duty? Don't they have ethical codes of conduct? Don't you guys have a reporting duty and ethical codes of conduct? Why did it take a state representative after a year of protest for any of you elected officials or appointed officials to take urgent action?
Christopher Johnston.
Last we'll meet again. Let's put my spectacles on. Okay, so it appears our revels have ended. I can answer that because they lick the boots of the FOP. That's who runs things around here. It is a lobbyist organization. So again, as I've informed the media, yourselves, we've filed a lawsuit. I will be attaching myself to it as well because I had my rights violated as well. The meeting was not due to technical difficulties. Multiple members of the public notified you all what was going on. People who are brilliantly minded, from law professors and so on, observed this and said, yeah, they violated the law. There's no technical difficulties. It's because you're terrified of the people. You don't want to have to answer to them. And if I'm correct, it's roughly 7 to 10 days one death happens. Mm-hmm. Jesus Christ, the Russian gulag was better than that. We've got millions of dollars going to unnecessary things. We've got roughly $200,000 going to some Star Trek technology when we can't even fix a goddamn doorknob. Where did that $15 million that you all stole? Huh? Where did it go? Racketeering. We locked up John Gotti for the same stuff, and he was way more powerful than the socialites in Oklahoma. Research it if you don't know who that was. He was the head of the Gambino crime family. This is absolutely ridiculous. So we've written the United Nations, we've written the Department of Justice. There is none of that racist states' rights bullshit talk about federal government can't do it. We're going to have them come in and hold everybody's hands like they had to do in the civil rights movement of the 1960s. That's the only way to get it done, because as somebody who served this country, I do know one thing, is that the United States federal government is extremely meticulous in how they get things done typically. Because we should be worrying about fixing the holes in the roof than having TV shows come in here and going, bad boys, and all of that nonsense. We shouldn't be doing political ring theater of repelling from Oklahoma State arena. I applaud your athleticism, but that's a little not important right now. What's important is that there's, again, one person every 7 to 10 days that dies. It's really sad that I kind of want the old sheriff back, and he was a disaster. The United States federal government's going to have to come in, and I encourage everybody, I implore everybody to sue their asses to the Stone Age. I gotta go pick up my baby.
Michael Washington.
Yes. Well, no. Really? Don't start that time I haven't even spoken yet. Now then, let's get back to this felonious, fictitious flake number 2 here. Approval of invoices and claims list for April 19, 2021, with discussion and action as desired by the trustees. Wait just a minute here, y'all. First of all, how y'all gonna approve an invoice and the claims when you just heard the conversation between 2 of your trustees who just said, hey, we still got bed bugs problems. We have shower style problems. Watch it now. Let's jiggle and jangle with this one. Now then, so why would we be approving something when it's not quite right yet? Now, are we pocketing monies to say we did something that we really did not? Question mark, isn't it? But quite likely so, what not? Am I right? Now then, what we need to do here is to delay this, set this moment off in time until I or someone from our organization can come in and inspect so-called invoices and actions and see if these things actually did occur before you vote on them. Because like I said, I'm well familiar with the fact that, as many of us know, the government is one of the biggest liar, bold-faced liars in the world, right? And when you're an alter ego, the arm of them, you fall in line. I mean, bottom line, not every one of us now. Let's get that understood. Now then, do not approve this fictitious, felonious invoice and claim, because whatever was said or done, there is something not quite right with this picture. Let me let everyone know that I know this. Okay? What are we trying to do? Quickly hide this up so that everybody cannot see the light of what's really going on? Money that are being deferred to something else rather than this. And you're trying to cover it up to try to cover a money trail up. And this is my mindset. Okay? Now, why would we again approve of invoicing and claim? Listen now. When a discussion is still going on today about things not being done. She just said herself, and he admitted, Mr. Williams, there's still a tremendous bed bug problem. And certain vials in your shower still have a problem going, oh, and we're going to invoice and then approve and agree? Really? Now, come on, that is preposterous if I've ever heard the word before. Now then, I think again in closing that we should defer this until later on, until I can go in and inspect what these invoices and claims are targeted for. Up until that time, it would be an adverse decision, and the public should be better informed to make sure. I don't even see what the heck this invoice is all things all about anyway. Man, I just got 13 seconds. I'll get it wind up by this time. But anyhow, Arnold Schwarzenegger said, I'll be back. That was good.
That concludes public comment for this item. Trustee Couch?
Yes.
Trustee Calvi?
Yes.
Sheriff Johnson?
Yes.
Trustee Eckroyd?
Yes.
Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Lamb?
Aye.
Trustee Barry?
Yes.
Trustee Arnall,
Yes.
and Chair Everest.
Aye. Thank you, motion carries. Item number 3. Call for a motion to approve item number 3.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion, a second. Questions of the trustees? Hearing none. Cassie, if there's members of the public, would you please direct them in order to be able to speak? And then we'll call roll call afterwards.
Sarah Baina,
I'm wondering if you're the young lady who was caught on audio last week being a sexist and a racist, discriminating against Miss Adriana Laws, one of the activists who's invested so much time, one of the activists who's encountered the county jail at least twice in this past year, utilizing her First Amendment right. I need to know what Mr. Hooten plans on doing and what your HR department plans on doing about a pattern and a practice of sexism and racism happening in this county courthouse. I do not want the court clerk or corrupted, crooked Mr. Hooten, who's been this body's bad boy over the past year, utilizing every unethical political tactic to suppress our First Amendment right to participate and engage in our government business this past year. I hope you all have not forgotten the many times you all have changed and reorganized your rules and regulations of making public comments to this body, all orchestrated through Mr. Hooten. And no, I do not want any more sexist or racist facilitating our public government meeting. And the young woman and the young man who were caught on audio must immediately be fired. And while I'm talking about sexism and racism and exploitation, I want to also bring up Judge Henderson, the sexual predator who was having affairs with multiple district attorneys and private defense attorneys, who had corrupted, I don't know how many thousands of cases that have been managed and mungled through this courthouse. This courthouse reeks of racism and sexism and obstructionism and corruption and injustice. That is why Oklahoma County Jail and the Oklahoma County Courthouse is the biggest civil and human rights mega center in the heartland of America. You guys took over sometime in July. Since July, approximately 10 months ago, there have been 10 individuals that have died in your custody under your supervision. That is one individual per month. Statistically, what that indicates is that there is another human being, faceless at this point, awaiting their death while they're waiting for due process inside that county jail. I want to know what you guys have done to guarantee that that is going to be prevented.
Michael Washington,
You know my name familiarly, don't you? That's quite well on your part. Quite becoming. Now then. Well, number 3, really? This is really a joke, isn't it? Now then, let's see what it says here. Discussion and possible action. Listen at this preposterous, erroneous, oh my goodness. How many other negatives can we use here? Discussion and possible action to approve memorandum of understanding now between the Board of County Commissioners of Oklahoma County on behalf of the Oklahoma County Clerk and the Oklahoma County Criminal Justice Authority for the purpose of providing services of secretary to the authority and its committees and subcommittees, requested by none other than Madame Trish Evans. Let me tell y'all something, man. All of us are not stupid here. You understand? Now y'all want to defer some of the money that you've stolen, not necessarily you per in and of itself saved, but with those fictitious hiring of practicing of private people so you can hide a paper trail. You see, the standards of private people, they don't have the same substance of quality and due process as you and I would, who have county funds that we expend. Watch this. So what you do, you defer funds from one area and now you want to put it into a secretary for all the committees. Wonder how much of this one person supposed to be getting? A secretary for all, and then y'all got a memorandum of understanding? What I'd like to know is, where is this understanding at? I mean, first of all, did you understand the secretary is supposed to come in and do rotator cuff flips? Is the secretary supposed to come in and throw golf balls in there? Or is he or she supposed to come in and just write up paperwork as we meet? What? This is not transparency, y'all. We need people who are more responsible, who are determined, who are transparent, and who will let the public know how their hard-earned dollars are being spent. These are taxpayer dollars that belong to me. They don't belong to you per se individually. It belongs to all of us. And you don't put in a secretary because y'all running a so-called subcommittee or whatever part of this criminal justice authority, criminal justice authority. What you need to do is let the public come in and determine if, in fact, we want a secretary to make our money to be spent for a secretary. You don't need a secretary. And we're going to defy a secretary being established because all y'all secretaries, as a matter of fact, you know what to do? Even if the secretary wants to come in, yeah, you're going to rewrite anything she say anyway, you see. So we just wasting taxpayer dollars. Let me come in and be your secretary. I guarantee it's going to be done right. As a matter of fact, hold it, matter of fact, Chris, you didn't ask me if I want to be a secretary. What's going on here? You can't do what you want to do if I don't like it, right? There's that 3 minutes in this game. Hasta la vista, baby. Beep. I'm back.
Trustee Couch. Trustee Couch.
We're calling the vote. Trustee Couch, we're calling the vote.
Trustee Couch. Trustee Calvi.
Aye.
Sheriff Johnson.
Yes.
Trustee Eckwood.
Based on my prior confirmation that Mr. John Michael Williams did confirm this agreement and agree with it, I vote yes.
Trustee Brown.
Here, yes, yes.
Trustee Lamb.
Aye.
Trustee Barry.
Yes.
Trustee Arnold.
Yes.
Chairwoman Everest.
Aye. Thank you. The chair strikes item number 4. Moving on to item number 5.
Hold it, it's on the agenda, hold it. You gave something to strike on your own now. You didn't inform us. You just said the comments were sent out, right? We need to speak on the item that you have. You just can't say, Trish, that's the problem. That's why I filed a lawsuit on y'all today. You didn't say all of a sudden you're going to switch it. You can't come in and tell us doing something, switch it. That's not how the law due process works. That's not administrative procedures, ma'am. Do you not know? Maybe I can teach you come to one of my classes. It's free.
So item number 4 is stricken as it's not ready to be presented. There will be no action.
Now you need to come and let me know it.
Item number 4. Item number 5, though, to which the MOU that we just agreed to directly relates to the services with the Criminal Justice Authorities Action Committee. I'm very pleased. Trustee Eckwood, what would you like to give an update?
Sure, thank you, Chair Everest.
She wanted to hide that money because she couldn't explain spending all that money. That's what that was. You know, I was going to ask that question. Go ahead. That's what that was.
With our action committee, everything seems to be going well so far. We recently had the first meeting in which we were able to vote new members onto our committee, and we have a lot of hope moving forward that things can look different for the jail. We hope to start dividing some of our duties and our thoughts up amongst our committee to make it more digestible. We expect recommendations to be made to the trust pretty soon. We are pursuing information through Jail Tracker to help us find out who's in the jail, for what bonds, and for how long they have been there, amongst much other information that we need to know before we move forward. So unless we have questions of the trustees, that's our report.
Thank you very much, Trustee Eckwood. It's a wonderful report. Questions or comments from the trustees?
Madam Chair?
Oh, yeah, Mr. Berry.
Yes, I would just like to congratulate trustee Arekru on her selection of members for that committee. Very strong selection that she had there, and I enjoy tuning in to their meetings and listening to their discussions.
Thank you, Mr. Berry.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey.
Cassie, do we have members of the public that wish to speak upon this item?
Yes, Sarah Dana.
Y'all, my concern is that this body still is incapable of understanding the seriousness of the crisis that we are in at Oklahoma County. People are literally dying. I know you know, Trustee Ekereku. I know you go in and out. I know you've had clients in there. And my concern is the planning, the organizing, the collaborations that we are attempting to do here are long-term solutions. None of them, I believe, are going to prevent the next statistically predicted death at the Oklahoma County Jail, given the conditions that exist. And I would really like to hear, I don't know, maybe we could get a trustee from each pod in the county jail that can report to us on the conditions of their pod. With all due respect to Mr. Greg Williams, I know you're one individual and you don't have the capacity of checking out every cell on an everyday basis. I'm sick and tired of going back and forth where I'm getting reports from inmates in the county jail reporting one incident for portions of last week. We were getting reports that phones were cut off, that people could not communicate outside. And then, you know, I didn't even take the initiative to call anyone anymore. Because when I call, oftentimes I'm told that's not happening. They're lying to you. We've resolved it. So my concern is that we are in an urgent moment to take serious action. And I am sorry, and I don't know what the DOJ can do, but those are the bigger guys that can maybe potentially come and bring the support. Because I think the violations happening are beyond what's happening in the county jail. We have a rigged up court system here that for decades has operated in a very strategic manner to trap indigent people, to trap marginalized and vulnerable communities, and to pipeline them. That is why we advocated for the removal of ICE. That is why we are advocating for ending cash bail. Those are the initiatives we need to take. And if the Department of Justice comes in, they need to go outside of this county jail. They need to look at the Oklahoma City Police Department that is producing a large number of detainees. One of the largest police departments, one of the most lethal police departments. I think it was Attorney DeMario Simmons, who's representing a 70-year-old Miss Ruby Jones who had her arm broken, who's written a letter to the Department of DOJ to come in and look at OKCPD. We need Oklahoma County Jail evaluated. We need DA Prater's office sanitized. This is the protege of Bob Macy. You have another sexist sitting as the presiding judge, Judge Elliott, one of your only black female judges in this courthouse, went to the Court of Criminal Appeals and said the Oklahoma County courthouse is a racist.
Michael Washington.
Yes, yes, is he in the house? Miss Echo, that name gets me everything. It's a bundle? It's a what? No. Yes, ma'am. Now then, you've done a tremendous job with the committee. Let everybody understand Michael Washington appreciate that highly and unprejudicially so. Now then, what my problem is that you have a compound of the main criminal justice authority who's not going to recognize any kind of recommendation you may make to it. Because Trish, the rich money-made lady, thinks that she can disregard constitutional mandates, due process procedures, equal protection of the laws. Ma'am, you are out of place, out of line to think that your committee, as well as the public, have to accept what you say at face value. That's simply not going to happen, man. This is not communist Russia or China. Democracy is what rules, I'm told. And ma'am, Anytime a democracy is laid out, that means that the vote of the people, the majority of the people must win. It's not a popularity contest. It did not I hate you or I don't like your proposal. But if 6 say yay, 3 say nay, guess what? 6 must win over. Isn't that right? In case you didn't know. Now then, let me say here, Ms. Echo Winfrey, you can do a great job, true enough, but you can only go so far in which the committee members over you, in which you are part, is going to allow you and your committee to do. This is nothing but a farce designed to throw off what they're doing here so that we can concentrate over here on what you do. But that's simply not going to work. Now then, yes, I wrote to the United States Attorney General. Yes, I wrote to the United Nations Human Rights Division. Yes, Mr. Jason Lowe followed suit. And I'm glad that he did in recognition of our legislators saying that change is needed here in Oklahoma County, in the largest county jail throughout the state, where the biggest and worst violations are occurring every day. Well, let me tell you, sir, Mr. Johnson, you just coming in. You haven't quite got your feet wet yet. Not even you. Now then. So we're going to take a little bit of mustard off you on this one at this time. I'll help you out for the major board. So we're recommending that the federal government comes in and to remove this criminal justice authority quickly, fast, and in a hurry, so that justice can be meted out and melted in a frying pan, just like you would cook a set of eggs. You know, you leave a set of eggs on for a little bit of while, let them germinate real good, and, well, man, my time is cut off. I'll be back later. Thank you.
Trustee Couch. Trustee Couch.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no other comment? Moving on to item number 6. Once again, Mark McCubbin is available. If there's any questions, otherwise I call for a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Covey. Any comments or questions from the trustees?
I have a question, Chair Evers.
Please.
Are you all able to hear the public comment?
Are we able to hear the comments?
Yes, are you able to hear the public comment or hear Cassie?
We do hear the public comment.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, there's others commenting that they cannot hear or understand the public comment. So I wanted to make sure.
No, I appreciate that. Trustee Akwaku, since you are present and with the county, is this also being fed on YouTube where it will also be able to be replayed?
It is, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
If you cannot hear the WebEx feed, you might want to adjust your settings within WebEx, but this is a temporary setup, and you could also get onto our YouTube channel, and you may better be able to hear us.
Thank you. Has there been any complaints that the trustees are not understood?
I have not seen that.
Okay. Thank you. Cassie, do we have questions or comments from the public? I mean, not questions. Do we have comments, public comment?
Yes. Sarah Baina.
I did review this statement, I believe Sunday night before the previous scheduled meeting. I just want to ask Mr. Williams, what in all of these budgetary items are items that are going to be addressing this serious crisis, I mean, deadly mass numbers of deaths. I woke up a few evenings ago, later in the evening, and there was a report of a fire at the county jail. Turned on the dispatch to monitor it, because historically I've been told for years that if there is a fire at the county jail, given the exits and the limitations and the building infrastructure of that building, that many people would end up perishing in that type of a situation. My concern was that we were going to literally watch literal genocide happen. People trapped in a building, fire going up, no way out. And so given the fact that we've known about this for years, what is being itemized on these lists to make sure that's preventable? God looked out for us that night. The first responders were able to maintain that fire, but that can become a serious situation, and we need to make sure we're looking at that aspect now that we've had one safe, I guess, alarm, to make sure that we're preventing that.
We vote on item 5.
Michael Washington,
Yes, I'm here, present. Anybody else named Mike Mark? Oh, I thought I was on one. You know what? Why don't you people go on a comedy too? And just, you can win hands down. Would it even be a question mark? You hear me? Now then, receive, listen, please listen. I didn't write this, y'all. I'm just a current member of the public who's reading this poppycock as we hear. Now then, receive, accept, and discuss income statement and financial report for Oklahoma County Criminal Justice Authorities with possible action desired by the trustee. Hold it! Let's run this tape over again. What do you mean with possible action? What action are we talking about, y'all? That's not transparency. Hello, Michael. Am I missing something here? Listen to this again. With possible action desired by the trustee. Now, what are we talking about? Where is the possible action at, y'all? What are we discussing here? You can go back and approve something. You ready for this one? You can go back and say, well, we vote yay today. Then go back next week and say, well, no, we didn't mean this. Now we're going to add this. So this leaves the door open for you to just discuss and add to or take away when you get ready. This is not transparency, my people. You people work for me. Okay? The taxpayer dollar makes you have a job each month and year, 24 hours a day. Excluding 5 days, maybe some of y'all work 7 days. But let me say this to y'all. Listen, I got a minute. Receive, accept, and discuss income statement and financial report for Oklahoma County Criminal Justice Authority with possible action desired. Are y'all hearing me? Am I sounding like a tape recorder? With possible action required. Listen to that. With possible action required. That's you leaving the door open. You ready for this one? You're gonna make additions to this or take away from what you have created, redo it, and now I'm never gonna hear about it because it's already passed for you to do it. That's simply not fair, is it? Sure it is. With possible action. So in other words, possible action, do we get back to hear it? Do we get to see the amendments that were made? Do we get to see who approved them afterwards? The money trail must be followed in a more precise, effective, and meaningful manner. Okay? Somebody is trying to rework the finances that's been wrongfully applied and misappropriated by, not going to blame anyone yet, but I tell you, well, my time is still too quickly, but I'll be back straight, fast, and in a hurry.
Trustee Couch,
Come on, don't get scared now, come on.
Trustee Calvi,
Aye.
Sheriff Johnson,
Yes.
Trustee Eckworth,
Yes.
Trustee Brown,
Yes.
Trustee Lamb,
Aye.
Trustee Berry,
Aye.
Trustee Arnall,
Yes.
Chairwoman Everest.
Aye. Thank you, motion passes. Item number 7. Greg, would you please report upon what you have for us for item 7? We cannot hear you from the outside.
Yes, you were muted.
Oh, okay, excellent. Sorry about that. I had my mic muted. I have talked to David Parker, the former administrator of Tulsa County Jail, several times over the past month or so. I was able to meet with him personally on Monday, and during that conversation, he made it very clear to me that he is not interested in a full-time job at this jail or any jail or prison, and at this time in his life, he is pursuing some other interests. So he is not actually interested in employment per se. He did agree after we did some conversation about some of the things that we're interested in him looking at, or someone coming in and helping us look at. He did say that he would be interested in doing some limited part-time work or contractual work with the Criminal Justice Authority. After some discussion about really what we were most interested in him looking for, knowing that he couldn't spend a lot of time here, but would give us a limited amount of time. He did agree that he would be interested in a contract up to 160 hours to start with. He explained that his experience at Tulsa was that, and again, once I kind of explained to him kind of what I was interested in, he expressed that his time at Tulsa was he would find an issue. The more he would explore that issue, he would find additional issues, and then he would find additional issues. And again, I can concur with that, as that has been my experience as well here in Oklahoma County, is that once you start on something, you just never know where you're going to end up, and what issues or what concerns or what matters will lead to the next, that lead to the next. So it was difficult for him to commit to a final and concise action. But he did think that 160 hours, at least initially, would give him an opportunity to come in and explore some of the key areas, and at least give us a report of his findings, so that we could decide whether we wanted him to explore any of the issues that he had found in a deeper kind of a way. He was interested in $110 an hour. For 160 hours is really what was being proposed.
Wow. Man, really? Gosh. Pay me that, I'll take half of that. Jesus Christ.
Is it $110 an
Thank you, Greg. Is there a motion? Or
I
question?
would move the adoption of number 7 up to an amount of $20,000.
Is a motion to approve item number 7, not to exceed $20,000 at this time, is that correct?
Oh, now
That's
I'll say that.
$20,000, yeah.
So moved.
Thank you. Trustee Arnall, I believe Mr. Brown moved, are you seconding that?
Yes.
Yes. We have a motion and a second. Comments or questions by the trustees?
Sheriff Johnson here. Have we looked at anyone else, or is Mr. Parker the only person we went to that can provide this service?
No, I have other companies that I have talked to that are agreeing to come in and help us look at some things. Of course, that's a lot of what the action committee is involved in. Of course, they're going to help us identify issues. I've got a community advisory board that has been selected, and they will help us identify some of those things. Of course, the outside entities that we've already had come in, the health department, others that have come in and looked around, they're helping us as well. So certainly this is not a single approach, but this would just be somebody coming from the outside that has a great deal of experience, that has some success in a jail, in a large jail in Oklahoma. So again, I was interested in his perspective and his input.
May I speak? Mr. Parker had a special expertise in a work chart and a flow chart, and then also an organizational chart. And we're struggling with that, and I believe he'll be able to assist us quite a bit. He had a very simple work chart that was easy to follow, easy to tell who was in, when, and prioritize the number or the employees that were available in the areas with the highest priority. And we've been struggling with that, and he would be able to assist us in that. And the lack of employees has been a consistent issue in giving direct supervision, clients meeting with their attorneys meeting with their clients. And I've truly been pushing this because I believe he'll help us figure out prioritizing the use of our employees, and then also assisting with the retention. He also had trouble with retention, but not to the degree that we are. He had a better facility, obviously. But he did have some ideas on how we could improve retention also. We need more employees, and we need to retain the ones we have, and then the training. And he also had ideas on more private citizens and not officers or CLEAT certified for certain positions. And Greg's been moving in that direction. But to get some backup and also to be on the floors and analyze where everyone is and where they need to be is a real strength of Mr. Parker's that I noticed. And in Tulsa, they had no deaths for several years. Of course, they had a better facility, and we're working with the facility that's maximum security for primarily minimum security people. So it is an issue, and it will be a challenge for him, but I believe it's some needed expertise at this time where he can go in, and I believe he'll be able to immediately assess some issues, but primarily it's what I'm asking is with the employees themselves on prioritizing where they should be.
I agree with needed expertise. I just want to make sure that we've done our job in reaching out to see who's all available, and not just be, kind of dead set on the first person that comes across our radar. Just kind of see what's out there, and see if there's any other options. Maybe somebody who's better, just to keep our options open, I guess.
I think we need additional people in addition to Mr. Parker. And I think this is just the first step in an emergency step. But absolutely, we all need to be looking for the best, and possibly even organization to come in and assist us in evaluating how we can get to where we want to be, which would be a safe, humane place for employees and detainees.
With him not wanting to stay long term, what's our assurance is that he will be fully invested? Because once we sign off on this, he gets paid, and if he's not invested in, the positive progression at the Oklahoma County Jail, the detention center, because he's not staying. So
true.
So I guess that's where I'm kind of going back and forth at.
I've known him for a number of years before he was even there, and my experience has been that he's a man of integrity and he cares about his reputation and his work, and he is from Oklahoma, and I really think that's all I can go on. But I am sure there are other people around, but he knows this particular population of detainees because he had the same population in Tulsa. And I don't know that in other states it's the same population. We arrest for different charges here, and then we detain for different charges than other states. With Jail Tracker will be able to see more of what the population is, but the arrests are very similar to Tulsa. But him being from Oklahoma and his reputation is important to him, and for the years I've known him, he's been a man of integrity.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? Cassie, if there's members of the public that wish to speak, would you call them now?
Sarah Avena.
So I respect and trust what you guys are doing with this. I know that we've had a lot of staffing problems, and I know that the staffing problems contribute to all the other problems, including medical, everything else. I think that the concern that you were having, and I applaud you, Sheriff, thank you, that those are the ethical realities we need to strive for in this county. Historically, this county has had a problem with nepotism, cronyism, unethical conduct. right? So I'm glad that you bring that up and we have that transparent conversation and we move forward. And I'm sure the citizens, will share their concerns with you. So thank you. That was, I applaud you on that. The one concern that I have as a citizen, as a person who has a lot of people that I love who go in that county jail and whose lives are important to me is I no longer in the 21st century want to continue reforming or investing in systems that believe that the way that we've been doing punishment has contributed to rehabilitation or healthy societies. We have absolutely failed. We have criminalized mass numbers of Americans for nonviolent crimes. We have reduced our liberties and freedoms, and we have started enslaving people for profit. That's what's been happening. So I no longer want to detain people on DUIs or a bar brawl or a mental health call or somebody who's being forcefully removed by OKCPD from a ER room because they've been called in for trespassing or drug-seeking behavior that ends up in the county jail that ends up dying 45 minutes later as a result of serious medical conditions, which he belonged in the ER for, right? I want to reduce the population of the county jail, and I think those individuals, the black, brown, undocumented, Muslim, the women have had historically high incarceration rates in Oklahoma, we don't want to continue being forced to pay for our own slavery. We're done doing that. It has not been in the interest of our children, of our families, and of our communities. Half the population currently being trapped and held forcefully by Mr. Prater and the judges in this county are being done so because they are indigent. Half of that population could literally be released today, and 90% chances that they're not going to harm anyone physically, right? So that is where we need to be going. That is the consultation we need. How do we reduce that population by half as soon as possible? Because if we have half the population we have now, even in that facility, maybe we can provide more adequate care that we need to do for those who have to remain there, because maybe they have multiple convictions of violent crimes and they are being alleged or in charge of a violent crime now. Those are the individuals you detain in the county for the safety of all.
Michael Washington.
Yes, did you hear? You know what? It's like playing musical chairs around here. This is how much of a joke I feel I'm part of something here today. Having said that, let me remove my glasses because I'll just get a little bit deeper serious into what I had been on the previous occasions. Now then, I'm not sure, Trish, you other board members, that I'm going to even allow this here to get off the ground yet. I'm thinking about filing an injunction to prohibit this frivolous, unrealistic, man-made crap that I hear y'all putting forth here on this agenda. Isn't this something, y'all? Let me say, first of all, you're valid, thank you, sir. No need, I didn't intend to point my finger at you. But you made a valid point. Who else have we considered for this job? Have y'all not heard of the Oklahoma Fair Bidding Act? Watch it now, Michael. So what you do then with your Fair Bidding Act is that you put it out and you publish it, don't you? That there's a job that may be needed here of that, right? You know that, Trish, don't you know now, don't you? Now then you go and you let the best bidder decide to win the contract you may be giving out, right? Now, Mr. Greg Williams, back to you, even though I'm not looking at you. Is this somebody you may know personally? A next door neighbor? A friend of yours? Your son's a basketball coach? Should we might be doing an investigation here, everyone? You want to expend $110 an hour. Man, where's this man? Do you think we got that kind of money? Really? An ex-DOC employee who's been sued by everyone, which y'all didn't know, but I'm going to give you the history on it, who's been sued and replaced many times, on many occasions, because of his incompetence. Let me use it like the rich folk, incompetence. Let me use it like that. You hear me? That's the best way to describe it. It's competence. Now then, again, this is for less than almost 2 months of work. We want to get this man $20,000. Greg, you know what, man? You really haven't really ticked me off. But you come in, yes, you're teetering on the brink of that happening. How much of that 20,000 you getting, man? Now, not saying y'all now. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to slap you. I'm just being real. Now then, $110 an hour. Did everybody hear that? $110 an hour? Now watch this here, Greg. He wasn't interested in the beginning. Now see, careful now, because Michael watching this as well. No, y'all don't know my clock did that. Come on, man. I turned around with a minute and something, I got 14. Come on, man. Anyway, the man was rejected your offer, and all of a sudden when you talk about them dollar bills, oh, well, hell, I think I can come out of retirement now. Man, get out of here. I'll wait for my time and my citizens to be heard. This one I'll have some fun about the lawsuit I got filed on y'all. Bye right now.
Sean Cummings.
There are no others, please call the vote.
I apologize in advance, but I'm going to try to make this quick because I need to leave, quite honestly. This is actually great timing that we're looking to hire somebody who knows what they're doing, since we obviously don't. So I want to get moving on with something else. That's the start of the consultant trap. If we had gotten the proper people on this trust, we wouldn't need to be doing this. Ms. Everest, I wrote this for you. Dear Trish Everest, Chair of the Jail Trust, I'm Sean Cummings. You may be familiar with me from my many days at the Jail Trust meetings. I've always admired your passion for the public good. I've known of your good works for at least the last 20 years. Your work with Palomar has been stellar. This is why I'm so disturbed by what I've seen under your leadership at the Jail Trust. Your stated goal here was to get rid of the jail of the low-level nonviolent offenders. One more of your goals were to create systems of care to better serve the jail population. Both of these are wonderful, yet completely unattended goals. My other concerns begin with the flagrant overcrowding during a labor shortage. Number one, to this day, the jail is still 25% over its 1,200 inmate limit. Number two, bed bug infestation, lice excrement, lack of water, lack of hot water, food serving issues, mold on trays, mold on walls, no showers for extended periods of time, inmates not getting medication, false COVID reports, and the list goes on. Number three, the diversion of CARES Act money to non-COVID related construction. Number four, no bid contracts to out-of-state firms. Number five, increased labor costs, legal fees, accounting fees, and now I would put in that we're hiring out-of-town people to run a jail because we don't know how. Number six, 9 deaths in the jail since you've been in charge. Number seven, hostage situation directly due to understaffing and no concern to given to employee safety. And number 8, an open meeting violation. I like you as a person. I like what you've done for the city. I believe your heart is in the right place. You are not suited for this job. I don't feel that more time makes you any safer, or it makes us any safer or more stable. We have not seen incremental improvement. With thorough evaluation and with this numbered list, I humbly ask for your resignation today, please. I'm going to leave you the letter here so you can grab it. Thank you all. This was a waste of an hour.
Trustee Couch.
Thank you, Mr. Cummings. We're calling the vote. Mr. Couch?
Yes.
Trustee Calvi.
Yes.
Sheriff Johnson.
No.
Trustee Ekwerekwu.
Yes.
Trustee Brown.
Yes.
Trustee Lamb.
Aye.
Trustee Barry.
Aye.
Trustee Arnall.
Aye.
Chairwoman Everest.
Aye. Thank you. Item number 8, Greg Williams.
Thank you. Start with the COVID update with some of the numbers that we traditionally present. During the past 7 days, or between April the 10th and April the 16th, we were able to test 209 detainees and had 1 positive of that 209. During the past days, or between March the 18th and April the 16th, we tested 989 detainees, and 2 of those tests came back positive. Since July 1, or between July 1 and April the 16th, we tested 8,279 people with 349 positives. Immunizations, as of April the 21st, or today, the detention center has vaccinated 930 detainees. As a result of the CDC and the FDA recommending that all Johnson & Johnson vaccines be paused, we stopped using Johnson & Johnson vaccines on April the 12th, and we have returned all the unused vaccines to the health department. Staff recruitment, again, this is one of our highest priorities, has been mentioned by several people today. Hiring and retention is still one of our main focuses. So far in April, we've hired 15 new hires, we've had 9 resignations, and we've had 1 termination. Since our last meeting on March the 15th, we've interviewed about 38 applicants. We've interviewed 3 more today, so that number continually changes. And we offered employment to at least 30 of those applicants, including 8 that applied during the job fair on April the 15th. We've had 15 detention officers graduate on March the 8th. We had 13 additional detention officers graduate on April the 14th. 5 detention officers started the academy on that same day, April the 14th, and 8 officers are currently scheduled to start OJT on April the 26th. So again, we've made great effort to recruit employees, and we've had some success. We have met and we have established a recruitment plan. And again, I'll mention some of the highlights of that plan. We have implemented a recruitment bonus for employees that recruit detention officers. And again, if that employee brings a detention officer and they're hired and they complete 6 months of successful employment, then we will give that employee a recruitment incentive. We started a career progression. Again, a lot of what we've seen is that the first 90 days of employment seem to be the highest point of turnover. We think it's paramount that we start off in our hiring process and letting the candidates know that there is a progression, that there will be chances and opportunities for promotion. That career progression will essentially be, they'll get $123. Right now, we're paying our detention officers $3,001 a month. So after the initial 90 days, at that point, they'll be through their training. We'll have an opportunity to assess their performance. All their criteria has been met with attendance and performance measures, and we would give them a $123 raise and promote them to detention officer. So they would go from a cadet to an officer after 90 days and receive a $123 bonus or additional pay. In addition to that, at their 1-year anniversary, again, considering their performance over the past year, their attendance and their satisfaction in the training, then we would give them a $302 raise at the end of their first year, which would promote them to a corporal. So that would be the career progression that we would start with detention officers. And again, we're looking at that for some other lines of staff, and that's where we want to start. And that is currently being implemented. That will start in July. We have increased our career fairs. Currently, we have 3 career fairs scheduled for May. Again, we held one on April the 14th. And again, I was a little disappointed in the turnout, but again, we hired several very fine candidates. So we're going to continue that effort. We're signed up for 3 career fairs in May. We've expanded our HR staff. One of the things is our time and leave and payroll continues to be a struggle to get that process. So a lot of our HR staff are tied up with doing that. But again, we have expanded that staff by 1 person. That will help us, again, create some recruitment opportunities and retention efforts, and to help us establish some of the things we need with HR. We've established an employee advisory board. And again, we took a group of current employees and we have made a committee, or they have formed a committee. And we have already met with them at one point. And again, their ideas on recruitment and retention, job satisfaction. Again, we think a lot of the turnover is just not good working conditions, and it's a challenging job. So again, employees that are currently working here are giving us some ideas about how we can do better with job satisfaction and retention efforts. We have established open interviews, so anytime an applicant can go to the detention center, fill out an application, get an interview, and get a job offer potentially that same day at that particular time. And again, we have exercised that more than a half a dozen times over the last 3 or 4 days. So we think that may help us again get people on board and get started. Again, once they get started, then of course you'll do a background check, you know, a urinalysis and a physical and those kind of things. So that is one that we contingent upon successfully completing those tasks. And again, once they are completed, then depending on their experience level, we can start OJT and PFP and pair them with other staff to at least give them an orientation to the detention center. I'll briefly mention our health department inspection. And again, we have a number of staff that are looking at that report, and we have already begun addressing many of the concerns on that report. And again, we will continue to do that over the next 30 days and make sure that we have action or corrective action on each of those items. A good number of those items, again, would repeat deficiencies, but we're going to make every effort that we can to address those in a very thorough way, in a comprehensive manner. The report was received on March the 30th, and the report does give us 60 days to correct the deficiencies and file a report with the health department. And as I mentioned, we are doing that. One of the big issues, and that has been mentioned already by a number of people and a number of constituents, is that the staffing. The staffing is an underlying element of almost all the concerns. And again, I've mentioned some of the recruitment and retention efforts that we're undergoing. And again, that was just a partial lift. We will continue to expand our efforts to recruit qualified staff and get them trained and get them on the job. The facility cleanliness was also mentioned in the report. And since July, we have entered into a contract with local vendors to supply cleaning chemicals. And again, those cleaning chemicals are mixed up and put into spray bottles every day and delivered to every pod. And again, those chemicals are for various kind of cleaning, shower cleaning, general cleaning, toilet cleaning, floor cleanser. Those kind of chemicals are put in spray bottles and are issued to pods so that people can clean their cells, so we can clean the pods, so we can clean the other areas of that particular floor. And those chemicals are delivered every day to each pod in the facility. In November, we purchased a number of industrial floor cleaning machines, similar to what you'd see in a commercial area where it puts down chemical, it puts down water, it sweeps and mops and brushes, sucks the water back up. We purchased those cleaners for every floor detention center, and that has really helped us with sanitation. And again, we just continue to expand our cleaning opportunities with chemicals and machines. We implemented a self-cleaning sanitation schedule that is closely monitored by one of our lieutenants. And every week she gets a report on what cells were sanitized, what the conditions of those cells were. And it's a pretty extensive list of things that are checked. But again, that has helped us with sanitation. Right now, we're currently exploring what to do about the showers. Of course, they're concrete. Many of them are painted concrete, but with the utilization of so many people using the showers, they stay damp all the time, so they're difficult to clean. It's difficult to clean concrete, especially if it's damp concrete. So again, we're looking at some alternatives to resurface those showers with stainless steel or other kinds of materials to help us maintain a better sanitation in the showers. Bedding and linen and clothes, also mentioned in the report. And again, to give you some idea about how aggressively we have done that, we have purchased approximately $50,000 in clothes since July. So when we got here, clothes hadn't been bought in 9 months. So again, we have ordered a large amount of clothes and a large amount of underwear, those kind of provisions for the offenders. We spent just over $50,000 in clothing. We bought 2,000 mattresses, just over $66,000, and we spent about $50,000 in towels, sheets, linen, those kind of items as well. And not that the money will fix it, but that just gives you an idea of really of our intensity, really our commitment to making sure that people are properly clothed, people have the linens and the equipment that they need for sanitation. Hot and cold water has been mentioned in that. It's been mentioned several times today. It's a continued effort. And again, we have made great strides in providing hot water. When we got here in July, there was no hot water tanks that were functional. There was no water pressure. The lines were broken. There was no closed loop. There was a lot of issues with supplying hot water, and we are nearing a solution to that. We've implemented what we call a water management system that includes multiple pumps and pressurizing systems, on-demand hot water system that is totally installed right now. So really for the first time in maybe the jail's history, there is pressurized hot water to the majority of the jail, and soon maybe to all of the jail as that water management system nears completion. As part of that, we bought 4 pressure pumps, new circulatory pumps. We've replaced all the boilers. We've replaced all the mop closets. We've repaired each floor has a mop closet. And again, those mop closets haven't been workable in many years, but we have refurbished those. We have hot and cold running water in each of those closets, which will help us and has helped us with sanitation. Now we can get hot water to mop and clean the floor. We're installing new mixing valves, and again, that's a lot of the hot water in the showers. And again, a lot of the problem we have with the showers is that the water is not adequate temperature or within temperatures, and that was mentioned in the health department. Again, part of that water management system is the mixing valves. And as you know, mixing valves actually mix the hot and the cold water so that you get an acceptable temperature in the shower. And again, that project is very near completion. It has been completed on several of the pods and several of the floors, but we are near completion with that. Pest control, again, we've talked about that most every meeting, and again, my staff and I talk about it nearly every day. It's an ongoing battle. As Ms. Ekueku asked about it, it is better than it was. We continually make improvements. I'm on the floors nearly every day, and I have staff that do inspections of those cells, living areas, food service areas, commissary areas, the dock areas, the trash areas, places where pests approaching really seem to thrive. And again, those are much improved. Again, I will be speaking with Orkin to see if there are some things that we can do in addition to what we're doing. And again, we have multiple phases of attack with the bed bugs. Again, I don't think it's a single source or a single solution. I think it's multiple things and a multi-tier approach to get the bed bugs under control. And again, we're exploring those. I would like to thank Trustee Ekueku for some work that she did today. The jail was very intense this morning and really over the last week in helping one of the detainees get released. He was being held on what I would call minor charges, really, and he was a very sick individual and really needed to go home. And through the help of Francie, we were able to get that individual released. And I just wanted to say publicly, thank you, Francie, for your help with that. That concludes my report.
Madam Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Couch.
The last time I went to the jail, a couple weeks ago, it's the cleanest I've seen it in the last 20 years by far. The cleanliness inside the pods, in the hallways, the new water handling systems, or the new water heating systems were great. The water management system was good. Air handling. The kitchen was as clean as I've ever seen it. There's no equipment down there. The meals looked very good as they were being prepared. I know we're understaffed and have challenges in that area. We do need to spend time and effort to address that. But a lot of the physical improvements that I've seen over there were very much remarkable. That being said, I have some questions on the vaccinations. So, Mr. Williams, are you still continuing vaccinations on an ongoing process? And approximately what percent of the detainees are turning down the vaccination?
Yeah, at the peak of the vaccine, again, we have done 3 different kinds of vaccines. All the different ones, Pfizer and Moderna, and we will still follow up with the detainees that received the first dose of that. They will receive the second dose if it was a Moderna or a Pfizer. So we're still on track with those 2 systems. Now, the Johnson & Johnson, we have suspended that or paused that at the recommendation of the FTC and the CDC. So we have not given any of those since April the 12th. At the peak of the Johnson & Johnson, it was very popular, I think, with the detainees because it was 1 injection. There was no follow-up that was required. less tracking, so it was very popular. And at the peak, I think we probably had somewhere between 20 and 25% of the population were accepting those.
Okay, and you are continuing to offer vaccinations?
We are not, sir. Not with the that's been suspended or paused, and we have returned all of those vaccines right now through the health department. I am in hopes, and again, as you have probably read yourself, there's still some debate about that, and I believe there's a meeting on the 23rd that the CDC and the FDA are trying to get back together to see if they need to release that vaccine. Again, I'm talking a little bit out of my league, but as I understand it, there are some more discussions that will soon be had, and maybe that vaccine will be released again. And if so, we will request additional vaccine and start that program immediately.
Okay, well, I would encourage you to as they become available, make as many doses of the vaccine available as possible. That's gonna help us go with the pandemic as effectively as we can. So thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Madam Chair.
Madam Chairman, if I may, I just wanted to say, first of all, I'd echo what Mr. Couch said about the physical plant and a lot of the great progress that has been made under your leadership, Greg, in fixing things that, there had been money provided in the past before the trust took over to address those things, and the money got spent on something else. So I applaud those changes. And on the staffing, which of course is our biggest challenge, security is the #1 function of this jail. And staffing is certainly a key to that. And in your report, Greg, and I know there's other things you're working on that maybe aren't ready to be implemented, but I want to particularly commend you for the incentive given to current staff to recruit other staff members. I've heard great reports from some current staff members about the new leadership and the attitude of that new leadership. And certainly we want to support our current staff and for them to get out and recruit others, I think that's a great idea you've got, and I want to encourage you in that very strongly.
Thank you, Mr. Berry.
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. I also want to confirm Trustee Couch's version of what the jail looks like now, at least in those areas that we were able to tour. I attended the tour there, and it was very clean, the cleanest that I've seen it in a very, very long time. And I would like to commend Greg for his work in trying to get things straightened out there. I do have one question, Greg. We did have some DOC officers that were assigned to work there to help us out with staffing. Are they still on board, and how many do we have?
Yes, sir. We had, how many did we have? 60, we had 72 officers, including the leadership staff, that came in on a Monday, and they really took over the shift, or not took over the shift, but started assisting our staff about 4 o'clock on a Monday. But all of those staff left that same Friday at midnight. So they were essentially there about 4.5 days, but those staff have been gone since midnight on that same Friday. And
Thank you, Mr. Berry. Did you have any other questions? I appreciate your comment.
Madam
No,
Chair,
it's finished tonight.
if Trustee Berry, are you still questioning?
I'm not sure whether Greg was finished or not, I'm sorry, but if he is, I'm done.
Thank you, Mr. Berry. I'm sure glad that you all were able to, after all of this COVID, to be able to get in and see the hard work. Mr. Brown, did you have comments?
Well, Madam Chair, I just wanted to observe, in addition to it, I assumed that Trustee Couch and Trustee Berry saw it also, but I got a tour down into the bowels of the jail where, no one goes. And Dale Fry, who's now, I think, the maintenance guy, has done an incredible job of replacing piping and conduit and wiring. I mean, it's just incredible to look up and you can see the old stuff, the piping and then see the new stuff that he's put in. And it's just pretty eye-opening to me to see the stuff that the general public, most of the employees don't ever see, and I wouldn't see if we weren't given a tour down there. But there has been a lot of work and a lot of money spent. I understand it was the COVID money, and that was a welcome addition. But there's been just an incredible amount of good work, very professionally looking work down in the bowels of the jail.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brown, for those comments.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes, I will. Mr. Berry, DOC was here on March the 29th, about 4 o'clock is when they started their work, and they were concluded on April the 2nd, that same Friday, April the 2nd at midnight, is when they all were called.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
So, Greg, I have a question for you and for William. I know that there's a long-standing report that the jail is built for 1,200, but on the health report, which is really quite staggering to me, the health department report says that our safe limitation is 2,890. As a point of reference for the trustees and for those listening, if the health department declares it's 2,890 are safe, I know.
I'm sorry. Tricia, go ahead. I'm sorry.
At what point did you, well, I'll just ask again. So I understand from the health report that the safe population, the maximum population in detention centers, 2,890. When we took over, we were close to 1,900, 2,000 in population. For the reference for our trustees and for those listening and participating, what is our population today? I think Mr. Money pulled up. And if you all didn't hear me earlier, I thank the other trustees for coming in and for touring and for seeing, and Mr. Berry especially, I'm really glad that COVID has subsided, that we are able to get back in and participate and see where we are, and so I appreciate those comments.
I have a question. This is Trustee Arnold.
Yeah, please, Trustee.
I had 2 questions, and the first was regarding bed bugs. I completely appreciate the sanitation that's been going on, but as I see it, the 2 major health concerns, and sanitation is a big part of it, but are COVID and bed bugs. And a couple of months ago, you had mentioned it would be about 100,000 to completely eradicate the bed bugs on a 12-month basis, on an annual basis. And have you started that program, or are you able to, so that you're eradicating bed bugs on a continuous basis? Because I recognize that once you get rid of them, some people can come in if they've been homeless and been subjected to them. But are you able to do a continuous cleaning of bed bugs now? This is a question for Greg.
Greg, we can't hear you.
8,250 was specifically for the treatment of bed bugs. And that is just a chemical. That is not any of the staff time or extra expenditures that have done that. But absolutely, we are committed to continuing that fight and expanding that fight until we get bed bugs infested to an acceptable level, whatever that may be.
Okay, so you have a plan to continue eradicating them?
Yes, and again, as I noted in my report, it goes beyond chemicals. Again, we're exploring heating device. We're exploring the replacement of furniture and clothing, as we suspect that that's an issue as well. So again, we are committed to a multi-tier approach to combat the bed bugs. Does that answer your question?
Yes, and thanks. I just wanted to make sure that you were going to continue with it. Then I have another question on the telephones. We've heard reports that the telephones aren't working, and I know that we were in the process of updating the telephone system with GTL, is it? And where are we in terms of replacing all the telephones and improving the telephone system and the telecommunication system?
Yeah. There's a little bit, I think, of misunderstanding with the health department report. In a number of areas, they reported that the emergency response, the telephones did not work. The inspector was dialing pound 211 as an emergency call, and our phones are not set up like general population phones. At the detention center, if you need to talk to a staff person, you either dial 0 or you dial 911. And both of those numbers will get you immediate access to camera ops. And the health department inspector, I guess, didn't realize that 211 is not the number really that people use at the detention center. Again, that is an internal telephone system. It's not like a public telephone. So the dialing and the numbers may be a little bit different. So again, right now at the detention center, the correct way to approach staff or contact staff is to dial 0 or to dial 911. And there are posters in the jail, and it's in the handbook, and I think a good number of our offenders at least understand that. That really, I think, was just a miscommunication with the health department. Back to your question about GTL, I meet with them every week, and they have started the installation of the new telephone system as far as the tablets go. And again, they have got about 97% of the installation complete, which is the charging stations, the docking stations where the tablets will be used. And again, we wanted to get the tablets up and running because the tablet could be used for video visitation, for phone calls, accessing sick call, ordering commissary, treatment programs. There's a lot of services that they can get with the tablet. So we really wanted those up and running before we approached the actual telephone, the kiosks on the walls. So we really wanted to get the tablets running so at least they would have some communication and some ability to do video as we were installing the new kiosk. And this may be more technical than what I need to get into. But really the only thing that's holding back the tablet right now is the actual tablet. They're on back order. GTL is having a difficult time getting those from their supplier. Those tablets, a good number of the components in the actual tablets come from overseas. But right now they are in delay and they are back ordered. I met with them earlier this week, GTL. They're expecting that order maybe mid-May. So hopefully mid-May those tablets will come in. And once they come in, the other 3% of the installation process can be accomplished rather quickly. We are still very hopeful that we can have the tablets up and running by then. At that point, once we get the tablets up and running, then we will approach the telephones that are in the pod area that the inmates right now use to do visitation and phone calls. Again, every cell that has occupants in it has a working telephone. Again, those telephones break and some of the detainees tear the phones up and destroy the phones and steal the wiring out of them and those kind of things. So at any given time, we do have broken phones. But again, the staff on those floors, in those units, they submit a report. Anytime that happens, that either the phone is repaired or the offenders removed to the cell with a working phone. So again, we are very constant watch for broken phones. But that's really where we're at with the GTL contract. We signed that contract back in late December. A couple of the things that we have been able to enjoy since January is the lower phone rates. Before we took over, telephone calls were about 25 cents a minute. And with the new contract being effective in July, that cost of those phone calls has gone down to 16 cents. January, I'm sorry, went into effect, and now those phone calls are about 16 cents. We've also replaced and recommissioned who controls the deposit system, which friends and families put money on the accounts for phone calls to be made. Those rates have been drastically reduced as well. So again, we have been able to enjoy some of the benefits of the new contract. However, we have not fully, that system is not fully implemented and probably won't be until later in the year.
Okay, thank you for that. I only have two more questions, and the first is, how will the detainees access the iPads or the tablets? And then I wanted to ask about the keypad system for employees' check-ins and check-outs.
The inmates don't have access to tablets, to iPads, so to speak. We do have a couple of iPads that we use for special visits and for special contact between detainees and family members in times of grief or funerals or tragedies in their life, or if they need to make contact with the health department or some of our partner agencies. We do have a limited number of iPads, but again, those are able to connect to the outside network, and they're quite different than the tablets that I'm talking about with the phone system. The tablets with the phone system are not really what we would, as free world people, would think of as a tablet or an iPad. Again, essentially what it is, it's a handheld device that allows them all the services that are allowed through the phone system. They really won't be able to connect to the internet or to outside of the facility kind of things with the tablet. That's a little bit of a misnomer with some people. What was the second? The keypads.
Yes, the
access.
fingerprint system. The fingerprint system for access to and from the detention center as they check in for work.
Yeah, that is a very complex system. Right now, that system opens many of the doors, the outside doors. It operates elevators. It operates the gates, to the facility where the employees park. And really none of those are functioning at this time to an acceptable level. Again, there's kind of two components to that system. There's the actual hardware system that is the keypads and the speakers and the cameras and the controls of the elevator. There's the mechanical parts of that, and then behind those mechanical parts is, of course, the intelligence. The system that activates when a person pushes a button or activates a part, that camera would turn on, activate a speaker so the central control would actually know who's there. So and again, it's contact tracing, who used what pad at what time, what vehicles came and went. A lot of those kind of features. So there's some software behind those key panels too. So again, there's really kind of two components to that access control system. It's much more than just replacing a keypad. The way of thinking about it is it's a very complex system. We have been working with a number of companies since we started in July, and we have only found maybe one company that's even willing to approach this as a project. But again, Kevin Marble is heading that for me right now, and he is in constant negotiation, constant search for companies that would be willing to come in and give us bids. I know we met with one yesterday that has digital cameras and really can approach this at every level. And so we've started some conversation with them to let them look at the system. But we're still a minute out from getting that accomplished. You're still looking at maybe $800,000 to $1 million to get that project completed. But again, as you know, and as you very well know, that is a high priority with us as a staff. It's a key component to safety. So we will stay on that, and we are hopefully getting nearer and nearer to a company that at least is willing to submit a bid to approach those systems.
Thank you.
Greg, this is MT.
Yes, sir.
What is the status? My final question: what is the status of the cell door lock replacement program?
Yes, the county commissioners and the budget committee has approved us money to fix a number, I think, with 800 locks, 400 locks, and they will be willow locks, like the sheriff put in, the locks system and the hinges and the door replacement, door repair. Again, that's much bigger than locks, as you know and as you have seen. That's really a door repair, a hinge repair, a lock, disassembling a lock, installing a new lock. So there's a lot to that project. Again, we would like to stick with the same locks that the sheriff put in, which is what's called willow locks. And again, there's only one manufacturer of that system and only one manufacturer of that particular lock. Excuse me. So we have prepared sole source documents that we're hoping will be approved so that we can begin with that same lock and in that same design, and that will be compatible with all the other locks and the lock replacements that we've already got. So we are very near, I think, approval of a sole source so that we can go ahead and start working with Willow manufacturer and start getting those locks installed.
Okay, thank you.
I have some
Thank you,
questions.
Trustee. Yeah, Trustee Eckawaklu.
Thank you. Greg, you were talking about a self-cleaning program that you started with the lieutenant at the jail. When did that start?
About 3 months ago. Are you talking about the spray bottles and those chemicals?
Yes.
Yeah, about 3 months ago, we entered into a contract with a local vendor that supplies those chemicals for us. We had to reassign a staff member to manage that. That's a fairly intense program, so we wanted staff to oversee that program because really we were wasting a lot of chemical by not putting it in spray bottles and trying to use it in its concentrated solution. So it did take us a minute to reassign staff down to that particular area to control those chemicals, dispense those chemicals, deliver those chemicals. So we've probably been in full operation, not quite 3 months.
Okay, that's good to know. So is that cleaning program for inside the cells as well as the pod itself? And
yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
Who's cleaning the pod?
Who's cleaning the pod? We have orderlies assigned that clean the pods.
Okay.
So each pod has orderlies that are assigned to do that cleaning.
Okay, I wanted to ask because some of the fellow trustees were talking about tours that they've been on and they see it much cleaner than it was, and so that's good to hear. But I know I've been there recently, and from the sounds of what Mr. Brown is saying, the pipes sound like they look better than some of the people in the jail. And that's not settling, but I'm glad to hear that you've got this new program and that people are going to be taken care of and have the ability to clean their cells when they need to. And so I do applaud you for that, Greg, because I think that's a consideration that hasn't been given any effort until your program 3 months ago.
Yeah, and it's like one of the things that's an ongoing issue. We will never be clean. We will never be as clean as what I'd like to see it, no matter where we're getting. Same with my house. My house is never as clean as it should be. My car is not as clean as I'd like for it to be. So I will continue to push that, and the staff here are very committed to cleanliness. And again, the inmate clothing and inmate showers and all of that is very important. And it helps the overall atmosphere. And certainly it helps public safety and it helps staff safety, and it's just the right thing to do. So we will continue to push that. So by no means is the spray bottles and chemicals the end all to that. We will continue to add to that regimen to increase cleanliness.
That's great. That's great to hear. And you mentioned your Citizens Advisory Board. I may have missed that, but did we announce that somewhere?
No, that's a community advisory board. There's no criteria to be a citizen to be on that board, so we're referring to it as a community advisory board. And that was recently established, and our first meeting is scheduled this week. So we have not really, I was really hesitant to bring that up until after we meet, kind of see how that goes the first meeting. But I have scheduled to meet with them this week. So I'll give you a better report next time if you'll allow that.
Yeah, sure. I just didn't know that we had formed it at this time, so that's good to know. And then last, I just want to comment on Chair Everest's sentiments regarding the population at the jail. I mean, if the health department quoted a certain number, I just highly and strongly suggest we don't let ourselves become laxed in thinking that we have more room or more ability to accept more people into that jail. Because we've had a common understanding that we were capped at 1,200 and we're not managing it well with that sentiment. So I really don't want us to get comfortable and think that we have more room to consider the errors that will happen when we think we can afford to have close to 3,000 people. So that's kind of what I want to say about that.
Thank you, Trustee Ekwatu. I want to clarify.
Safe with the staff.
I want to clarify, if you all can hear. Thank you. I am absolutely, I wanted to make the statement that we are at the lowest population it has been an incredibly long time. I'm incredibly proud of the efforts of the county, the trustees, and everyone involved that has lowered our population to today. William, are we at 1483?
1488, I just double checked it, as our last count was 1488.
So we're at, I just want to clarify that by no means do I want our population to go up. That I think it's ridiculous. The health department says 2,890 is a cap. I want to remark that we came in at close to 2,000 and that we have lowered the population collectively by 500 people. And I think that is a really good thing. And I thank the sheriff, I thank our partners, OCPD, other law enforcement. I thank CJAC and Trustee Arnold and all their efforts that we are recognizing collectively, working with the municipalities to find that. So just as a clarification, I only brought this up to point out how much it has been lowered and to continue these efforts collectively. Trustee Eckler, does that make more sense? By no means do I want anyone to think we want a rising population.
Yes, that makes sense. Thank you, Chair Evers.
And I really appreciate all law enforcement, CJAC, and all of our county partners that are helping to lower and to maintain the lower population. So 1488, and William, there's, I would guess, 100 of them are going to DOC?
Yes, my count is 86, that's waiting to go to DOC as of today. That kind of changes daily, but 86, we're below 100.
Okay, thank you. So again, this is the lowest population we've had in 3 years, so I want to thank everyone for their part.
Chair Everest. Chair Everest. We've pointed out to the public many times that the jail really can't control the population of the jail, other than trying to move people out of DOC and submitting people for medical ORs. But the only control we have is over trying to move people to DOC, and even there we don't have control. We just have influence and suggestions. And so I'm just concerned that we're going to mislead the public that we do have control to lower the population.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that clarification. And again, I repeat, I thanked CJAC, the county, the judges, the sheriff, the police department, and the municipal court for working together, and Trustee Arnold, your work with the CJAC and what you've been doing all these years. We absolutely have no way to work with that, but you all are collectively, it's working and lowering. So thank you for that clarification. Is there a motion to receive the report? Mr. Couch, did you have a comment?
So moved.
Second.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Lamb. Second. All right, Cassie, do we have members of the public or trustees that would vote? With public first.
Yes, Sarah Baina.
Mr. Williams, I want to thank you for your sense of responsibility and ethics in identifying the individual that obviously has serious medical conditions that should have not even been admitted into our inhumane, unconstitutional county jail. I want to thank Trustee Ekwerekwu for her leadership and her ethics and her investment in getting that individual out. You guys may have potentially saved a life. That is the type of collaboration we need to do, particularly with those who have serious mental health conditions. Solitary confinement at the county jail is not mental health treatment for those who are in serious mental health crises. turnkey medical is not adequate medical treatment for individuals that are in dire medical situations. I had 3 items that I wanted to address is, I'm glad that you guys are visiting the county jail and that is open. I myself received my second COVID shot a few weeks ago. And what I would like is going back to what we had prior to the jail trust taking over. The NAACP and my agency had communicated with Sheriff P.D. Taylor and others throughout the courthouse, and were able to obtain permission to do monthly regular visits with the juveniles that were being detained at the county jail. These were welfare checks. The hope is that we could do one in the first of the month, one at the end of the month. It's about a 15-20 minute questionnaire that we do with each child. We check on the status of their legal case, when the last time their attorney checked on them, if they're getting showers, when the last time they went to school, the types of questions that provide you a sense of their well-being and care while they're in custody. And we'd like to initiate that if Chairwoman Everest and Greg Williams can coordinate that. I'm sure we could get another volunteer from the NAACP. Garland used to go with me, so I'm sure he'd be willing to do that. And then during those visits, another very unique thing that we did is we allowed the mothers to accompany us, and this was often the only time they were able to physically see their children. And it was really rewarding, it gave these kids hopeful to be on their best behavior, that their mothers got their backs outside, were working on their legal cases. And it was a very constructive effort. And we'd be willing to provide you guys a report as well. And then the third item, I'll honestly kind of skip. Oh, the community board that Mr. Williams put together, I applaud that. Would love to have more information on it. And I'd like to say that if Curtis Williams, the detainee, who was shot to death inside the county jail by OKCPD, had an opportunity to be heard, to file complaints, and to have his concerns addressed, then in a moment of desperation, he may have not resulted to violence. So, Mr. Williams, what we need is trustees from within the jail who've been there for long terms to be members of that community advisory board that you're having if you really want to know the truth and reality of the conditions that exist inside the jail. Thank you.
Michael Washington.
Present, ma'am. Present. Mr. Greg Williams, when, sir, are you and I going to be able to sit down and meet one another? I'll even buy you donuts and even maybe a soft drink on me. Now then, oh Lord, don't try to sound, I ain't got but 3 minutes, y'all. Just give me a minute. Now then, you made a statement, Mr. Couch, and right today, man, I'm going to write a book on this. The jail is, certain areas I visited, the feeding area is so much cleaner than what it used to be. Really? Those were the areas that y'all went to and found them clean because they designated that area for you to go to. Wait a minute now. Y'all didn't say anything about what was still wrong there, though. I wonder why that was. Trying to get our minds twisted into believing that only the good is what's happening? Come on, man. Come on. Mr. Williams, back to you. What are you doing, sir, to handle traumatic situations in which inmates may have received confirmation of a death call? What kind of counseling are they giving? Come on, let's get to the real nitty-gritty issues here, sir. I mean, all that stuff y'all talking about, miss me with that one. What kind of psychological services are you providing to those inmates, sir? When it comes to inmates coming in with drug problems, what kind of counseling are you giving them? None. What kind of mental services are you giving them? Not any. All these things about cleaning up the jail and all this here stuff, sir, it's not going to work if these people don't have the mental capacity to understand and appreciate what you say you may be doing. These inmates need to be able to see a collective change, not by word alone. And are you ready for this, Mr. Greg Williams? If you would put or have access to common sense folk like myself, let them go into that jail. See, y'all don't want me going. Y'all think I'll be reporting on which I would. You don't leave me lying. You know, you need to have somebody out there that has a concern like the public. I come in out of the public, I know the things that's going on in there. I hear it every day, like Sarah was talking about. We got hundreds of numerous complaints. Well, we can tell y'all one thing, man. It's not going to be too much longer, but y'all be working there anyway. You might want to get ready for that because the feds are coming in. Now then, now we know an average inmate stay in there is about 18 months. What kind of educational resources are you giving them, sir? That is dehumanizing, depressing, unconstitutional, inhumane set of circumstances to be in 18 months and just sit in that cell telling me let's go out in the yard every 3 months. Oh man, this is a human being, a human measure. Human beings need to be treated more appropriately. They are sent to jail as a placement for an alleged crime until they've been sentenced. So that means they have the right to all the amenities that a free world citizen would have. We're not talking about special amenities for, special foods be sent in. We're not talking about special restaurant behavior or hotel settings. We're talking about the common sense approach. Lady, Miss Trish, you and I got this freedom expression on that, what you call it, your citizen to be heard. That's when you're not going to talk.
Sean Cummings. Trustee Couch.
Yes.
Oh, we're on 8, sorry. Trustee Calby. He dropped off the phone.
Yeah, I don't see
30 minutes ago. Sheriff Johnson.
Yes.
Trustee Ekwerekwu.
Yes.
Trustee Brown.
Yes.
Trustee Lamb.
Aye.
Trustee Barry.
Aye.
Trustee Arnall.
Aye.
Chairwoman Everest.
Aye. Thank you very much. The motion passes. The report is received. Very good report, very good comments and questions, very thorough, with appreciation. Item number 9, we're left with public comment. Do we have members of the public that wish to speak, Cassie?
Yes. Sarah Baina. Michael Washington.
Present, man. Present. We in school? Ready, set, go. All seriousness aside. Well, now, Miss Trish Everett, I told you we don't leave this moment with just you and me. And, oh, by the way, that guy sitting beside you, what's his name? John Michael Williams? Are you, ladies and gentlemen of this jury, aware that Civil 2021-9-17 has been filed by Michael Watson yesterday regarding this debacle of disruption of this so-called virtual meeting that was so-called put off to be reheard today? Michael Watson not going for that. So I filed a lawsuit because we're going to try to stop any disruption like that from public. Yeah. Right? Now then. Mr. John Michael Williams, have you received your summons yet for your jail trust? If you haven't, give it maybe 1 or 2 more days more because you will get it. Michael Watson will make sure that he have to walk it to you. Now then. Now, I filed a lawsuit because of the flagrant, reckless, and callous disregard of the rights to the citizens of the transparency of government that they, the people, by the people, and for the people, have established for the people. Uh-oh, somebody agree with that, thank you. Now then, for many of you who do not know it, Miss Everett, I have accused you, rightfully so, of interfering with the rights of the public to know the ins and outs of the government establishment. You have not only violated the Open Meetings Act, but you have also violated the Open Records Act. Because anytime you prescribe or subscribe, write out in print a document, it becomes a matter of public record. We're not talking about going to the records office to get anything. Once you have it established on the table, and you change the stop thing, then what you're doing is interfering with the Open Records Meeting Act because this is an open record. And when I don't have access to it, I don't just have to go to office. And you're violating the Oklahoma Procedurals Law, okay? The procedural law, which means once procedure is established, you cannot come back and change something in the middle of the course of the meeting. That's not how it works. we're gonna stop today and change it next. That's not, Ms. Everett, that's not how it works. Now, Ms. Everett, no disrespect, I don't hate you now. But you got to go. First of all, your position is very contradictory. Your position it violates the rights of the citizen to equal access to a public servant, such as yourself, who has become the public safety director. Now, if you're the public safety director, you cannot come in onto a committee, a jail trust or whatever trust, and say, well, I'm going to deal with this issue, quote unquote, giving interest to these people while you have a larger audience of people that need your concern and approach it. So we need you to leave because of conflict of interest. And ma'am, I've shown you that I'm pretty much a man of my word. If you don't go willingly, just like that civil case that I just filed yesterday, one will be filed on you. And John Michael, you don't worry me, man. You come on with it, because I like the fire. Have a good day.
Hannah Royce.
Good afternoon, trustees. It's been a moment since I've had the opportunity to address this body. That's because, you know, like many of you, I work and have to support myself and alongside other many community involvement things. So I haven't been here since the hostage situation, but I have had a draft sitting in my email to all of you. But honestly, I can't find the words to say, and the amount of disappointment that I continue to come across because of the leadership in this body. You know, for example, Mr. Commissioner Kevin Calvi, you know, dropped off this call. Meanwhile, he uses words like, "You will be shot and killed if you harm our jail staff." That is a threat. That is literally a threat to humans inside this facility that we collectively have a responsibility for. Okay, the blood's on all of our hands, mine too. I'm sick of pointing fingers. I'm sick of saying who's doing what and who's doing wrong and who's doing right. And it seems that even within the courthouse here, I can feel the tension between the clerk's office and even our trustees today because of something that I believe one of your jail clerk administrative staff said that we all heard the words "shut up, she is so blank," while Adriana Laws was speaking the other day. And I just want to bring us back to reality. If we're talking about decorum, let's read that really quick. It's a principle of classic rhetoric. Classic rhetoric rooted in aristocracy that white people created. So that's our decorum. But let's think of a different word, emotional intelligence, okay? When people come up here and they're upset, it's because of their emotions. It's because of things they feel very deeply down in their body. Really quick, a deep breath. Can we all please recommit to one another, no matter the side we're on, to stop spewing vitriol, hatred, crap. It's not getting us anywhere. I had many things to say in regards to what we're doing, but I did apply for the Community Advisory Board, and I will be at the detention center tomorrow as a member of that board, and I look forward to calmly deciding that we are going to work together. We have to work together. Thank you.
Thank you, Cassie. Do we have any others?
No, ma'am.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that.
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much. I move for adjournment. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Please call the vote.
Trustee Couch,
Yes.
Sheriff Johnson,
Yes.
Trustee Ekwekwu. Yes. Trustee Brown,
Trustee Brown had to leave, he's running out of oxygen.
Trustee Lamb?
Aye.
Trustee Barry?
Aye.
Trustee Arnall?
Aye.
Chairwoman Everest?
Aye. Thank you all. We are adjourned.